That's not a real vote. That's not a real vote. They give it to who they want to give it to. They give it to their darling.
Jay-Z and them was putting it together. Mm-hmm. So I think they still harbor some energy towards me.
You think you were purposely left out of the ad?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think. I think that they were saying the NFL had some issues with me that I don't know what those issues are. Like, what is the issue? You start looking at that's not mine. That's theirs. They harbor it, right? But when you look at M is looking at the entire legacy.
Yeah.
The whole thing, like with M, Dre, and myself, like I'm a shady aftermath. You see what I'm saying? Like there's so much G-Unit Records.
Right.
They forget that I'm M and Dre's art.
Do you think Jay-Z and Beyoncé are the untouchable power couple of the music industry? They're icons, the perfect embodiment of the American dream, success, wealth, fame, and above all, a love that has lasted over 2 decades. But what if I told you it's all just a facade, that behind the glamour is a calculated game? Stepping over others to reach the top. Sounds crazy, right? Yet that's exactly what 50 Cent and Eminem, to names no stranger to both success and controversy, have come out and said, and this time, they're not holding back. They accuse Jay-Z and Beyoncé of playing underground political games in the music industry, manipulating relationships, silencing others, and even using their marriage as a power tool to control major awards like the Grammys. Creepy enough. Hold on, there's more. Today, we're going to peel back the layers surrounding Hollywood's golden couple to see if this is really a great love story or one of the most brilliant PR stunts in modern music history. And trust me, once you hear it all, you'll never look at Jay and Bey the same way again. It all started when 50 Cent suddenly spoke out about being removed from the Super Bowl, one of the biggest stages on the planet. In an interview with Cameron on the talk show It Is What It Is, 50 recounted how the NFL refused to let him perform, hinting that Jay-Z was behind it. According to him, Jay told Dr. Dre and Eminem that the NFL had issues with 50 and didn't want him involved. But the thing is, 50 never knew what that issue actually was.
You're not competing for those things anymore. You start looking and you're going, so what was the problem? You can't exactly remember what the problem is. That's what I went through with Joe. This is why I was saying I knew what old boy was doing. Right. With the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Because he was doing like, yeah, go ahead. He was doing some wild because he was saying that to Eminem that the NFL had the issue with me. And I'm like, well, what's the issue? Why don't I have an issue when I'm becoming a partner in the actual team, but they got an issue with my performance? Right? Makes no sense. You know what I mean?
I was going to get to that later, but since we're here now. And when he says "oh boy" for the audience, that
yes,
he's talking about Jay-Z. This was discussed before. Jay-Z told Dr. Dre, just for people who's not up on this, or Eminem, that he didn't want you to perform part of that Super Bowl they had a couple years ago. Why do you think that is?
Well, I just
threatened. Possibly.
Not even threatened. You know, I think it's just when you take the competition from. Like our culture is competitive, man. It is, but I think when it goes past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand that. Like right now, you're not even competing for a slot. You don't have a new song out that he want to be on the top 10 or top 5, and you still competing. It still makes sense. Like what are we competing for? What's the goal? Like this even like a lot of the even a lot of the competitive stuff, or what we would call it beef, right? It changed. That terminology changed when it's Biggie and Tupac, because we start saying the things that people would say that cause beef in the environment. When before that they called it battling in our culture. Because that's what it is until it turns into some street shit. So when you're not competing for those things anymore, and you start looking and you're going, so what was the problem? You can't exactly remember what the problem is. That's what I went through with you.
What seemed like just a misunderstanding suddenly took a twist. Eminem, 50's longtime friend and ally, spoke up, not behind closed doors, but directly to the organizers. If 50 doesn't perform, neither do I. A single sentence that changed everything. The result: 50 hit the stage and lit up the Super Bowl alongside Dre and Eminem, a historic moment. But once the lights went out, questions started flying. Why did Jay-Z want 50 out of the show? Was it a hidden rivalry between two hip-hop moguls, or was Jay-Z afraid 50's name would outshine his own? This wasn't just a musical rivalry. It was a power play behind the scenes, where relationships, contracts, and egos clashed without mercy, and this wasn't the first time 50 Cent claimed Jay-Z tried to block his moves in business. He's said multiple times that Jay has deliberately sabotaged big deals, even when there was no real competition. So the big question is Jay-Z simply incapable of accepting other people's success, especially when he can't control them? If you've always believed the Grammys are about honoring the best artists, get ready for a reality check. According to 50 Cent and Eminem, both Grammy nominees and winners, the awards are far from fair. They don't just criticize them, they outright call the Grammys rigged, a marketing prop, even a PR trap for famous artists. Eminem once explained it clearly: he's not mad about losing. If he lost to someone more deserving, like Kanye, he'd clap. But what made him angry was the fakeness. They'd invite him, hype things up, make viewers believe Eminem might win, draw in the audience, and then hand the award to someone completely forgettable. Since then, M declared, "Don't ever ask me to come back to the Grammys." No way. 50 Cent went even further. He claimed Jay-Z used his marriage to Beyonce to collect awards. Ever since marrying her, Jay kept winning, even in years with no standout music. 50 even mocked, "Even the kids who can't sing yet have a Grammy." It sounds like a joke, but it reflects real disappointment in the artist community, where success isn't earned through talent anymore, but through connections and image, especially. Don't forget that moment when Jay-Z stood on the Grammy stage last year, visibly frustrated, and said, "Don't play with us. Don't invite my wife here and then not give her the award." He said that while holding a Grammy in his hand. Something about that feels off, doesn't it? And then this year, Beyonce finally won Album of the Year for Cowboy Carter. But instead of celebration, the internet exploded in controversy. People outright said, "This smells like a backstage deal." Because just a year before, Jay had gone on stage criticizing the Grammys. And now his wife gets the top honor. Coincidence? Or a reward for applying pressure at the right time? But this story isn't just about the feud between Jay-Z and high-profile rappers like 50 Cent and Eminem. What's even more unsettling is the list of artists who once had massive potential, were expected to explode in fame, and then suddenly vanished from the radar. And what do they all have in common? They reportedly had run-ins or conflicts with Jay-Z or Beyonce. Coincidence? Maybe. But if there are too many of these coincidences, perhaps they're not coincidences at all. Let's start with Mary, who once made waves with the hit One Thing. What most people don't know is that the producer behind that song, Rich Harrison, was later claimed by Beyonce to create the mega hit Crazy in Love. Same sound, same style. The difference, Beyonce soared while Mary disappeared. How does an artist with such looks, voice, and talent just fade away that easily? Then there's Carrie Hilson, once hailed as the next big thing in R&B. But after releasing a song suspected of throwing shade at Beyonce, her career practically collapsed. The media turned against her, Beyonce's fans came for her, and even industry peers distanced themselves. Carrie later revealed, "I didn't really want to make that song, but I was pressured." And just because she refused to hold a magazine featuring Beyonce's photo, she was blacklisted from the industry. KELIS is another textbook case of being disrespected. Beyonce used a sample from Callous' iconic Milkshake in a new song, without any notice, no permission, not even a heads up. Callous only found out via social media when she spoke up. All she got was silence, no apology, no explanation. Eventually, the sample was quietly removed, as if it never existed. The whole thing ended in silence, but the damage was already done. Then there's MIA, once seen as a breakout star with huge potential. But after refusing what she described as some uncomfortable offers from powerful people in the industry, she suddenly vanished. She recalled, "When you say no to the powerful, you're removed from the game." It may sound vague, but in the context of so many careers mysteriously ending, it hits hard. If just one artist came forward, it might be easy to ignore. But when 4, 5, even dozens of artists speak about the same kind of manipulation, the same pattern of being pushed out of the industry, is it really just a coincidence anymore? Now let's talk about names that were not only prominent, but on the path to legendary status, and then they vanished or left the scene under strange circumstances. And once again, at the center of many of these stories is Jay-Z, starting with Big L, a highly respected underground rapper, especially in Harlem. In 1999, Just as his career was exploding, and he was about to join Rockefeller, Big L was shot dead in a drive-by that was never solved. No one was arrested, no clear explanation. And the last person believed to have seen Big L alive was Jay-Z. Sounds like a conspiracy theory. Maybe. But when insiders like Jaguar Wright start speaking up, people begin to connect the dots. Jaguar once said bluntly, "Jay knows exactly what happened that night." Next is DMX, a true icon. From 1998 to 2003, he released 5 consecutive No. 1 albums. But things shifted when Jay-Z became president of Def Jam, right? As DMX was preparing to release his 6th album, the result, the album got delayed. The promo was stalled, and DMX was left stuck. He even said, "Why is it that every time I'm about to release an album, Jay drops one to overshadow it? He's not even letting me breathe." At that point, Jay was the boss, so this wasn't just competition, it was a strategic move. Don't forget Beanie Sigel, also from the Rockefeller family and once considered a rising star, but every time he tried to break through, something held him back. Jay-Z would release his own album around the same time, and the media would only focus on Jay. Beanie admitted he had legal issues, but he also said flat out, something just wasn't right. Like someone intentionally didn't want me to shine. From Big L to DMX to Beanie, they all had ties to Jay-Z. All were on the verge of greatness, and all were suddenly held back. These stories may lack concrete evidence, but when multiple witnesses speak out and the events follow a repeating pattern, people start to ask, is this all coincidence or a deliberate strategy? We've talked a lot about Jay-Z, his power, his manipulation, and the suspicion surrounding how he rose through the industry. But what about Beyonce? Is she just along for the ride, or is she a key player in this entire strategy to climb to the top? 50 Cent, during an appearance on the Flagrant podcast, bluntly called Jay-Z and Beyonce's relationship a contract. No beating around the bush, no wordplay. He clearly said, ever since Jay signed that marriage contract with Beyonce, the Grammys just started pouring in. At first glance, it sounds absurd. But when you look at the stats, Jay-Z's Grammy wins shot up significantly after the marriage, and it's not just him, even their daughter, Blue Ivy, won a Grammy before hitting puberty. What makes people even more suspicious is Jay-Z's image transformation. From a street rapper, he turned into a polished gentleman, a businessman, a family man. And who played the biggest role in that rebrand? Beyonce. She's not just a singer. She's a global brand. When paired with Jay-Z, they became the Carter Empire, not just in music, but in fashion, media, entertainment, and even politics. And then there's what's going on behind the scenes, adding more fuel to the fire. Several industry insiders have said that Jay and Bey are not just a couple. They're a strategic alliance. Together, they build their image, control media narratives, and if necessary, eliminate anyone who threatens their power. This is no longer just a romantic relationship, but a well-oiled PR machine. Some people call it smart, calculated, others call it cold and ruthless. But no one can deny this. If this really is a contract, it's the most powerful contract in the history of pop music. From everything we've just gone through, 50 Cent being blocked from the Super Bowl, Eminem swearing off the Grammys, numerous artists suddenly disappearing just as their careers were about to explode, to suspicions about a marriage that might be more business than love. One thing is undeniable, Jay-Z and Beyoncé are not just talented artists. They are power players, and if these accusations are true, they are master manipulators behind the scenes. For over a decade, they've been nearly untouchable. Every time someone speaks out, they're immediately labeled jealous or clout chasing. But now, things are changing. The voices of dissent are getting louder, more direct. And it's no longer just rumors, it's direct accusations from people who've worked with them, traveled with them, been part of the inner circle. The question now isn't, do they have power? It's, what did they do to get that power? And more importantly, how many people had to sacrifice their careers, their dreams, or even their lives, so that the Carter Empire could continue to shine this brightly? So, what do you think? Are 50 Cent and Eminem telling the truth, or are they just former stars venting their frustration? Do you believe there's an invisible hand manipulating the entire entertainment industry? And if it really exists, who has the courage to go up against that power? Leave your thoughts in the comments below this video. Whose side are you on? And don't forget, what you've just heard today is only the tip of the iceberg. In the next video, we'll uncover even more shocking details about the underground world of entertainment. A world where there's no friendship, only power and calculation. If you found this content thought-provoking, hit like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming Drama Unmasked moments. Because here, we don't shy away from the truth, no matter how dark it gets.